The ringing dragged me out of sleep like a hand closing around my throat. My phone buzzed against the nightstand again and again, cutting through the quiet of my apartment. When I finally managed to roll over and look, the screen glared back at me with 29 missed calls, all from Mom. This is an original story written by the author of the Revenge Amber channel, built from familiar social issues with the purpose of helping viewers reflect, heal, and draw meaningful lessons. The content is not intended to depict any real individual. My chest tightened. 6 years without a single word from her. And now this 29 calls in the middle of the night. For a moment I could not move. I could only stare at her name, glowing like a warning light in the dark. The phone vibrated again. A new message appeared. "Renee, pick up. It's about Jenna." I swallowed hard. My throat felt dry and raw, like I had been screaming in a dream. I had not spoken to my sister in years, not since the night everything fell apart. The memory of her smirking across a dinner table flashed through me, sharp as glass. The phone buzzed once more. I flinched. I whispered into the room. "Not again. Not this time." I sat up slowly. My hands trembled. Old reflexes kicked in the fear, the guilt, the instinct to fix whatever disaster they had created. I pressed my palms together until my fingers hurt. Another vibration. I reached for the phone but did not answer. I only stared at the screen as it lit up with call number 30. A voice inside me, the one I had tried to kill, whispered that maybe this was an emergency, that maybe I still owed them something. But a stronger voice rose up, steady and quiet. "No, not until I know what they want." I drew a slow breath, grounding myself. "If you're listening to this," I murmured, speaking as though someone were already here with me, "hit subscribe and stay with me. Because what comes next? It took me years to survive." The phone vibrated again, relentless. I closed my eyes, and this time, when I reached for the screen, it was not to answer. It was simply to breathe. The phone finally stopped vibrating, leaving the room hollow and too quiet. My pulse still raced, thudding against my ribs like it wanted out. I slipped out of bed and walked to the closet, my fingers brushing the handle before I even understood why. The fireproof box sat on the floor, heavy and familiar. I knelt, lifted it onto my lap, and unlocked it. Inside lay the life I had tried to bury. A stack of credit alerts, copies of forged documents, letters from banks. My old driver license, the one Mom refused to return years ago, its edges worn. My younger face staring back at me, clueless and obedient. My throat tightened. I whispered, "You kept everything, didn't you?" The words weren't for me. They were for her. I heard Mom's voice in my head, sharp and dismissive. "You're the strong one, Renee. You don't need help." I heard Jenna's voice too, bored and entitled. "Just sign it. You make more money than all of us." My hands shook as I closed the box. I pressed down hard, as if I could force the memories back inside. Another vibration shattered the moment. Call number 31. I didn't answer. Instead, I whispered to the dark, "I know exactly what you want." The fear that once ruled me twisted into something colder, sharper. This box wasn't just evidence. It was a map of how they had broken me, and tonight, they had come to break me again. The buzzing finally stopped, but the memories it stirred refused to settle. I sat on the edge of my bed, the fireproof box closed at my feet, and let my mind slide back to the place I never wanted to revisit. I was 8 when Mom first said it. "Renee, let Jenna have the last cookie." "You don't need it." Jenna, 6 years old, clutched the cookie with both hands like it was a crown she had earned. She grinned at me, crumbs already sticking to her lips. Dad stood behind her, silent, pretending to read the mail. He always pretended when things got uncomfortable. Mom added, "You're the strong one." Be a good sister. I remember nodding. Even though something inside me wilted, it kept going. When I was 10, Mom pushed a basket of laundry into my arms. Renee, do Jenna's chores. She has a headache. Jenna skipped past us humming, perfectly healthy. I murmured, I have homework. Mom didn't blink, and you can finish it later. Jenna needs rest. Dad appeared in the doorway, but he didn't say a word. By 12, it was money. My allowance sat on the kitchen table, neatly stacked. Mom tapped the bills. Jenna wants that doll. We're a little short this week, I whispered. But I've been saving. Jenna flicked her hair. You never want anything fun anyway. Mom's eyes hardened. Do not make this difficult. It wasn't the words. It was the tone, final, cold, as if I had already failed her. The worst part was how naturally I obeyed. I wanted her approval the way other kids wanted birthday gifts. One night, after another round of chores that were never mine, I asked Dad quietly, why does she always choose Jenna? He stiffened. Jenna needs more. You're strong. Renee, you're different. Different. He said it like it was a blessing, but it landed like a sentence. Years later, when everything exploded, I finally understood what he meant. Being the strong one didn't make me loved. It made me useful. The phone buzzed again in the present, vibrating across my mattress. I didn't reach for it this time. I already knew the pattern, and I knew exactly where it started. The hum of the phone faded into the background as another memory rose, sharp enough to sting. I was 16, standing in the narrow hallway of our old house, the envelope of cash in my hand soft from months of folding and unfolding. Almost 1 full year of bagging groceries after school. Almost 1 full year of saving every crumpled dollar. I had exactly $3,200, enough for the used Honda Civic I had already test-driven twice. Mom stepped into my doorway that night, her shadow long across my bed. Renee, we need to talk. Her voice carried that tone, the one that meant the decision was already made. She sat on the edge of my mattress and sighed dramatically. Your sister crashed her scooter, broke a neighbor's fence. The repair bill is more than we expected. My stomach dropped. Is Jenna okay? She is fine, Mom said quickly. That isn't the issue. The issue is we need to use your car fund. I clutched the envelope tighter. Mom, I have worked for almost a year. I paid for everything myself. That money is mine. Mom's expression hardened. Do not raise your voice. I'm not, I whispered, though my chest burned. I need that car. I earned it. She leaned closer, eyes cold. This family sacrifices. Jenna made a mistake. If we do not fix the fence, the neighbors could sue us. Do you want that? Do you want us embarrassed? My throat closed. There has to be another way. Mom snapped. Renee, stop being selfish! The word hit like a door slamming shut. Jenna peeked around to the corner then, perfectly uninjured, twirling a strand of hair. Are we done? I'm tired. Mom stood. Bring me the money. My voice cracked. Dad, can I? He appeared behind Jenna, shoulders slumped. Just give it to her. Renee, we will make it up to you. They never did. I walked down the hallway and placed the envelope in Mom's hand. She didn't say thank you. She didn't even look at me. 1 month later, Dad bought Jenna a brand new scooter. I kept taking the bus until I was 22. College was supposed to change everything, but all it did was stretch the distance between us without breaking the chain. I went to Washington State University on a scholarship, juggling 2 jobs and a pile of used textbooks. Jenna went to an expensive art school in Los Angeles. Her apartment paid in full. Her car brand new. Her weekends filled with parties she posted online. Thanksgiving break felt like walking into someone else's life. Jenna twirled a designer handbag in the living room, the tag still dangling. Isn't it perfect Mom bought it because I passed my painting class with a B? I stood there in boots with a hole in the sole. I made the dean's list. Mom barely looked at me. Renee, you have always been book smart. Jenna needs encouragement. Jenna laughed softly. Yeah, not everyone gets excited about studying all day. I excused myself and went upstairs, the conversation sticking to my skin like smoke. After graduation, things escalated. I got my first real job as a financial analyst in Tacoma. My paycheck felt like proof I had finally escaped the old patterns. But Mom saw it as an opportunity. She called one evening as I was leaving work. Renee, the roof is leaking. Can you send $500, Mom? I just started this job. You make good money now. Do not be dramatic. I sent it. A month later, the mortgage is behind. Just this once. $2,000. I sent it. Then Jenna needs a dress for her friend's wedding. $300. She cannot show up looking poor. I hesitated for the first time. Mom, I really cannot keep. She cut me off sharply. Renee, your sister is struggling. You are her example. Help her. I sent it. By the end of the year, I was eating instant noodles at my desk while Jenna posted photos from Las Vegas with captions like, Best Life One Sunday. After I had paid off an entire credit card bill Jenna had maxed out on a healing trip to Arizona, I found her in the kitchen scrolling her phone. I paid the card. I said quietly, but you cannot use it again. That was everything I had. Jenna rolled her eyes. It is just money. Renee, you act like you are poor. I looked to Mom, desperate for someone to take my side. Mom exhaled loudly. Do not start a fight. You always bring stress into this house. Something in my chest shifted, like a board inside me had snapped under too much weight. Their voices blurred, but the meaning stayed sharp. I was not loved. I was useful, and they were never going to stop taking. The night it all shattered began almost quietly. Mom called while I was driving home from a 10-hour shift. Her voice too sweet, too rehearsed. Renee, come for dinner. It is important. Important meant expensive. Important meant Jenna. When I arrived, the table was set like a holiday crystal glasses, cloth napkins, the good dishes we were never allowed to touch growing up. Dad sat at the far end, shoulders slumped, eyes fixed on his plate. Jenna sipped wine like she was posing for a magazine. Mom hovered behind her chair, restless and overly bright. I sat down slowly. What is going on? Mom folded her napkin with delicate precision. We have an opportunity for your sister. A real future. Jenna lifted her chin. I am starting a boutique. My own fashion line. I have a vision. I forced a polite smile. Do you have a business plan? Jenna scoffed. Details are boring. Mom handles things. Mom leaned forward. She needs startup capital. Serious capital. My stomach tightened. How much? She slid a folder across the table. $120,000. I laughed before I could stop myself. Mom, I do not have that kind of money. You have excellent credit, she said calmly. We checked. The room froze around me. You checked my credit. Of course, she said. You can take out a business loan or open a line of credit. Put it in your name. You are the only one with a perfect score. No, I said quietly. The word hung there, heavy and unfamiliar. I had never used it with her before. Mom blinked slowly. What did you say? No, I repeated, louder. I cannot do that. If the business fails, I am responsible for everything. I will be ruined. Jenna slammed her wine glass down. You never believe in me. This is not about belief, I said. It is math. Mom stood abruptly, her face darkening. This is your sister's dream. Do not ruin it. I am not doing it. Her hand moved before I could react. The slap cracked across my cheek like a gunshot. The fork beside my plate rattled. My skin burned, my vision blurred, but the worst part was Jenna's face. She smirked, satisfied, like she had been waiting for this. Dad stared at the table. He did not say a word. Mom's voice dropped to a hiss. "You ungrateful girl." Something inside me, something I had kept hidden, quiet, obedient, finally tore free. I stood, steady despite the ringing in my ear. I picked up my purse. "You walk out that door," Mom shouted, "and you are no longer part of this family." I met her eyes, calm in a way that scared even me. "You turned your back on me long before tonight." I walked to the door, opened it, and stepped into the cold air. The moment it closed behind me, the world felt different, emptier, but also wider. I did not know then that the worst betrayal was still coming, only that I would never be theirs again. I spent the night after the slap in a cheap motel off the highway, staring at the ceiling while my cheek throbbed. By morning, I packed my things and drove straight to my apartment in silence. I expected screaming voicemails or furious messages. There was nothing. Silence was its own answer. 6 months passed before the truth surfaced. I was in a grocery store aisle when someone tapped my shoulder. My cousin Elise stood there, shifting awkwardly. "Oh, Renee." "Hi. I have not seen you in forever. I have been busy," I said. She hesitated. "Jenna told everyone about the boutique. She said you came through for her after the fight. She is signing the lease next week." My stomach dropped. "I did not fund anything." Elise blinked, "But she said the loan is under your name. That you two made up." The jar in my hand slipped and shattered on the floor, red sauce splattering across my shoes. I did not apologize. I walked out and drove straight to the bank parking lot, my hands shaking as I pulled up my credit report on my phone. There they were. One inquiry for $82,000, another for $18,000, both approved, both under my name. My throat tightened. I called the credit bureau, navigating through the automated menu with numb fingers. A voice read the final confirmation. 2 loans issued. Primary applicant Renee Carter. I hung up and called Dad. He answered quickly. "Renee, is everything all right?" "No," I said. "Meet me. Do not tell Mom." We met at a diner halfway between our towns. He looked smaller than I remembered. His hands shook as he wrapped them around the coffee cup. "Dad," I said, keeping my voice low, "did Mom use my name for Jenna's boutique?" He stared at the cup. "Your mother. She had your old driver license, and she practiced your signature. From your birthday cards." My chest tightened. "She forged everything." He nodded, barely visible. "I told her not to. I told her you would be angry." "Angry," I whispered. "Dad, this is identity theft." He flinched. "Jenna needed help. You are strong. Renee, you can handle things. Jenna cannot." There it was. The sentence I had lived my whole life inside. I stood, leaving my untouched coffee behind. "You did not protect me. You let her take everything." He reached for my wrist. "Renee, please." She did it for family. I pulled my arm back. "No, she did it because she knew you would not stop her." That afternoon, I drove straight to the office of a fraud attorney named Samuel Keaton. He listened without interrupting. When I finished, he closed his notebook. "Renee, this is a crime. You can walk away and pay the $100,000 yourself, or you can fight." I met his eyes, the decision already forming like steel inside me. "I want to protect myself," I said, for the first time in my life. And that was the day I stopped being theirs. The phone lit up again, its glow cutting through the dark like a blade. 31 missed calls. 32. I felt none of the panic from earlier, only a slow, cold certainty spreading through my chest. I finally answered on the 33rd call. Mom's voice burst through the speaker, high and frantic. "Renee, thank God. Why were you not answering?" I said nothing. She barreled on. The police were here. Detectives. They took Jenna's laptop. They froze her accounts. They said there might be warrants, real warrants. Her breath hitched, sharp and theatrical. Renee, you have to tell them it was all a misunderstanding. I let the silence settle before I spoke. What did she do this time? It is nothing, Mom snapped. Nothing serious. She started a consulting business. She needed a small loan to get on her feet. How much? Only $30,000, she said quickly. Practically nothing compared to last time. I closed my eyes, steadying my voice. Whose name did she use? A pause. The kind of pause where the truth tries to hide. Mom whispered, yours, but only as a reference. Something got mixed up. Mom, I said softly. She forged my signature again. No, she insisted. It was digital. That is different. Computers make mistakes. I almost laughed, but it came out as something colder. The bank did not think it was a mistake. Mom inhaled sharply. Renee, do not talk to them yet. Please. Meet us in the morning. We can fix this together. Her voice wobbled, desperate and raw. You know your sister. You know she is delicate. She will not survive jail. You cannot let this happen. I stared at the fireproof box beside my bed. 3 weeks ago, I had received a credit alert. 3 weeks ago, I had gathered the documents, called Attorney Keaton's office, and submitted every piece of evidence. Mom thought this call was the beginning. It was already the aftermath. All right, I said. Mom gasped with relief. You will help us. I will meet you. I replied, tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock, the cafe near your house. Oh, thank God. I knew you would not abandon us. Renee. I hung up. The room went still around me. They believed I was coming to save them, but I was only coming to finish what they had started. I arrived at the cafe at exactly 9 in the morning. The place sat near the Tacoma waterfront, quiet except for the low murmur of conversations and the hiss of the espresso machine. Mom and Jenna were already there in a corner booth, both of them looking smaller than I had ever seen. Mom waved me over with frantic little gestures. Renee, sit, please. We do not have much time. Jenna kept her hood up, eyes red, fingers twisting a napkin into shreds. She did not look at me. I slid into the booth across from them, placing my black binder on the table. Its weight felt deliberate, grounding. Mom leaned forward immediately. You have to call the detective today. Tell him you authorized everything. Tell him it was a misunderstanding, a family arrangement. Jenna's voice cracked. Just say you forgot. Please, Renee, if you do not, I could go to prison. I kept my tone even. You took out a $30,000 loan using my name. Jenna winced. I was going to pay it back. You spent it in 2 weeks. I said. Her head snapped up. I was trying to invest. I needed a chance to rebuild. Everything fell apart because of you. Mom shot her a warning look, then gave me a tight smile. She is sorry. You heard her. She is under a lot of pressure, Jenna muttered. I am sorry, in the same voice she used as a child apologizing for tracking mud on the carpet. Mom reached across the table, gripping my wrist. We are begging you. Your sister's life is on the line. We cannot survive another investigation. I gently pulled my hand back. Another mom blinked. What do you mean? I opened the binder and slid a paper toward her. Jenna leaned forward just enough to see the header, Affidavit of Identity Theft. Renee Carter filed 3 weeks earlier. Jenna's face drained of color. Mom stared at the page as if it might rearrange itself. Renee, what is this I knew about the loan 3 weeks ago? I said, I saw the alert, contacted Attorney Keaton, and filed the report. Mom's mouth trembled. You turned us in your own family. No, I said softly. I reported a crime. Jenna slammed a hand on the table. You traitor. You ruin everything and then act like you are innocent? I didn't flinch. I stopped you from stealing from me again. Mom rose halfway from her seat, her voice sharp with disbelief. You are doing this out of spite, out of revenge. This is not revenge. Then what is it? She snapped. It is protection, I said. Jenna shoved the napkin aside. You have money. You have a job. You have a whole life. You could have saved us. I met her eyes. I already saved myself. That was the part you never understood. Mom leaned across the table, her face twisted with grief and anger. You walk out of here without helping, and you are dead to me. I closed the binder, calm and steady. I was dead to you the moment I stopped paying your bills. Jenna's voice cracked into a scream. I hate you, I know, I said. I stood from the booth. Mom whispered, almost pleading. Renee, please. We cannot handle this alone. I paused long enough to let the truth land. You removed me from this family years ago, I said. I am simply honoring the choice you made. Neither of them spoke as I pushed in my chair and walked toward the door. Outside, the air felt sharp and cold against my skin. The cafe bell chimed behind me, but I did not look back. For the first time in my life, I walked away without waiting for permission. 2 years passed before Jenna's name appeared in my life again. By then, everything had changed. I had been promoted, moved into a brighter apartment in Seattle, and built a steady, gentle life with Caleb, a school counselor who never raised his voice and never asked me for anything I could not give. We were assembling a crib one Sunday when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something in the quiet made me answer. A rough voice came through. Renee, it is me, Jenna. I stepped into the hallway. You are out. 18 months, she said. 5 years of probation. No one will hire me. Mom had to move into a tiny apartment. I have nothing. Her breath shook. You could help. You owe me that after what you did. No, I said. I do not owe you anything. She let out a jagged laugh. Of course. You always think you are better. I think I am done, I replied. A long pause stretched between us, thin and fragile. Then, in a low voice, I hate you. I know, I said softly. And I forgive you. She sucked in a breath as if the words hit her. Why, for me, I answered. So I can put this down. I ended the call. Then I blocked the number. It took less than a minute. When I walked back into the living room, Caleb looked up from the crib. Everything all right? Yes, I said, for the first time. Yes. He smiled, and something inside me settled, quiet and steady. If you listened all the way here, thank you. Stay with me. Subscribe. And follow the journey not because the pain defines us, but because healing does. Caleb tightened a screw on the crib, and I sat beside him, ready to meet a life that finally belonged to me.